Welcome to the 2019 semifinal debate for Independent English ESL. Before we begin, I'd like to give thanks to those of you who have made this day possible. ESL teacher, Ms. Terry Dodds. ESL teacher, Dr. Irina Marchenko. ESL teacher, Ms. Anna Schussler. We have ESL Ms. Margaret Aguero. ESL aide, Ms. Mercedes Mendez, who I don't think is here. ESL aide, Ms. Maria Ramirez. ESL World Geography, Ms. Carla Cruz. Algebra teacher, Ms. Gina Uggen. And Mr. Williams is not here, but he helped. The students will be filming the debate today, so thank you very much for doing that. Okay, now I would like to thank the judges for agreeing to take part in this important day. When I say your name, please stand. Assistant or associate, I wasn't sure, I was going to ask you, Mr. Trenton Nickerson. Counselor, Mr. Carlos Sepulveda. Nimitz Dean of Students, Mr. Craig Young. And Dr. Ivelisse Santiago Camacho, ESL Specialist. I would also like to sincerely thank my former debaters from 2016, 17, and 18 for assisting my students in the writing and practicing of the classroom debates. I could not have done this without your help. When I say your name, please stand up. First, these are the 2017 champions, Juan Burgos, Leonardo Navas Valera, Monty Chavarria. Our 2018 champions are Ana de la Cruz Herrera, Ana Maria Arroyo, and Adriana Chavez Juarez, and Isaac Zavala. Are you in here, Isaac? You're supposed to be. Okay, and then finally, Mitzi Castro Duron, who is a 2016 debate champion and one of our student judge today. And also thank you very much to the students, me and Ms. Dodd's students who helped set this up. Thank you. That was in the morning. Okay, before you stand 12 hardworking students who have proven that they can represent Nimitz against MacArthur and Irving High School on May 20th. The topic is, what is the biggest challenge facing immigrants in the U.S.? Because of Nimitz's 4 consecutive first-place victories in the district-wide debate, we want to continue the tradition that Nimitz is the best when it comes to our English learners. Judges, today you will be determining who will be the 5 best students to represent Nimitz against our competitors in May. With that said, please keep in mind that today we will not be debating against one another's topics, but solely on delivery, presentation, and organization of ideas. After each student's speech, we will pause briefly to allow time for judges to complete their judging forms. Last, I would like to point out that today's event is not only about the 12 students who sit before us. This has been a collaborative effort, as all of the students in Independent English ESL classes have helped with the writing, research, and lots of practice that went into today's debates. Let's have a round of applause for all of the students in Independent English ESL. Now, without further ado, we're ready to begin the debate. The first debater is Maximiliano Zavala.
Since the beginning of the 2016 presidential campaign, the number of hate groups in the United States has increased. Media Matters tweeted a video showing that Gabby McInnes, founder of the hate groups called the Proud Boys, says that violence is a really effective way to solve problems. This goes against everything that we were as children, to respect and tolerate different religion, racial, and ethnic groups. This clearly shows that the hate groups are the biggest challenge facing immigrants in the United States. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, the increase in extremist activity began in the early days of the 2016 presidential election. when panic over immigration helped propel President Trump to the White House. Before that, the number of hate groups had fallen for 3 straight years. This is a terrifying trend, and we must make sure that it doesn't continue. In order to solve the issue of the hate groups, we should work as a country to unite people. In a Time article by Nancy Gibbs, she argues that the change can only come from community actions. She says, "This much is clear, whatever happens, no one is coming to save us. We have to do this ourselves." That means that we must engage people by supporting community rights groups. For example, NIMITS has Latinos Stand Up, a group that empowers Latino students to take control of their education. There are also groups like Voto Latino and La Familia Vota, which work to do things that register people of color and inform them of hate group violence, so they can be more conscious and vote accordingly. You have to know a person before you can judge. Being African American, Muslim, or Latino doesn't mean that this person is a criminal. The most famous hate group in the US is the Ku Klux Klan. They are recognized for the violent actions against the immigrants, the LGBT community, and people of color, because they think that white people are somehow superior. Remember that enrollment in hate groups like the KKK and other more recent groups like the Proud Boys have risen and become more prominent in recent years. We must do more to prevent groups like this from committing more acts of hate and violence. Hate groups have only brought destruction, fear, and death for communities. They believe that the color of your skin or your migration status defines who you are. We need to elect leaders who will tell Americans that the color of your skin doesn't define your intelligence. Being diverse is what makes us strong. We may not be all deserve equality. You don't judge a book by its cover. Why a person?
The next speaker, debater number 2, is Carla Guerrero.
I believe the biggest challenge for immigrants in the US is racism. I chose this topic because I see people get bullied all of the time for their race or heritage. There are many examples of racism in society today. According to the article by Newstein WRAL, a man in a Burger King restaurant mistreated a cashier because of her pronunciation and for being immigrant. Furthermore, according to a study by Dr. Colin Holbrook, a research scientist at the UCLA Center for Behavior, Evolution, and Culture, people have very different attitudes to resume traditionally Black or Hispanic name. For example, a person with the name Juan would receive a less job interview than a person with a more Anglo name. This experiment proved that racism is a still very big problem, and that those who claim the hostility to immigrants isn't about race are wrong. And I am not the only one who thinks this way. A Pew Research poll from 2017 states that more and more Americans are starting to believe that we should continue making changes to improve equal rights for non-whites in the country. To avoid all of these issues, we need to learn to support each other and work to end discrimination. For example, we could write letters to the members of government and encourage them to support laws that will help prevent violence due to racism. In addition, we should create campaigns and events supporting people who suffer from racism, as well as children from an early age. That racism is wrong. A long time ago, it was perfectly legal to discriminate people and treat them with injustice. because nobody had listened to them. Their education and social status suffered. It was even illegal to teach slaves to read and write, which took away their power to study and how to speak out. Of course, if they didn't have a voice or a vote, they couldn't elect leaders who would support them or help them. There have been many struggles for people of color, especially immigrants. But one person in particular who fought for equality rights, Martin Luther King, spoke out for people of color, including immigrants. I believe we need to follow his example and continue his fight by peaceful protests, demonstration, and petition to help prevent and fight racism. In conclusion, we can affirm that racism is a bad thing, but sometimes, without even realizing, we all practice it too. But how would we feel if we were the direct target or victim of racism, mocking, and mistreatment? It is time to treat others as if they were yourselves. Thank you.
Debater number 3 is Linda Montemayor.
I believe the biggest challenge for immigrants in the US is cultural adaptation, because every person that migrates to the US has problems adapting to the culture. Every country is different. This creates the problem of people giving up. The language, getting accustomed to everything, from the clothes they wear to the food they eat. For those adapting to the new culture, the struggle is real. They feel stressed and unloved. When I first came to the US, Americans seemed very strict and uptight to me. We are a lot more laid back and informal in Mexico. Another example of why cultural adaptation is the biggest challenge is when children start school in the US. In Mexico, my country, the teachers change room for each subject, not the students. This can be very overwhelming for new immigrant students. According to APA 2011 Annual Convention Symposium, immigrants are increasingly large and diverse group in the United States, making up 12.5% of population and representing tremendous diversity of language, culture, religion, socioeconomic status, and life experience. But their challenges are enormous. Not only must they adjust to a new culture and language, as well as overcome discrimination here. Many come to this country after having experienced multiple traumas, such as war and other forms of violence in their countries of origin. Considering all these other challenges making immigrants, considering all these other challenges facing immigrants, they do not need to worry about the cultural adaptation on top of it. People without the knowledge is like a tree without roots. We need to appreciate those roots. It can be very hard when you migrate to another country. It's tremendously difficult for many people and can also be very easy for others. But their challenges always are enormous. A big part of the United States of America is made up of immigrants. The total immigrants population in the US has risen to a 14.4% according to the 2015 census. The United States is the place where all cultures meet. We need to help all of those immigrants to feel comfortable, because immigrants live, all of those things we are proud of will go with them. Thank you.
Debater number 4 is Diego Fuentes Villatoro.
The law states that any immigrants in the United States can face deportation to the country of origin. This is why I believe the biggest challenge for immigrants in the U.S. is the fear of deportation. Immigrants in the U.S. are afraid of doing even basic daily activities due to not having the required documentation. For example, they are afraid of driving, sending the children to school, applying for jobs, and even going to the hospital. Most of the time, undocumented immigrants are in a constant state of dread, always worried they will say or do something that will affect their legal status. For example, Marlene is an undocumented resident of Texas who has 2 children who are citizens and qualify for Medicaid and SNAP. But she is so fearful of the interview, and she is sick from the stress. Deportation is still a big threat for many immigrant communities. In addition, our own president said that immigrants should be deported with no judges or court cases. Many people hear this kind in their minds all day, and it sounds is terrifying. There are more than 11 million immigrants with the extreme fear of their being tomorrow in this country. Since Donald Trump began his presidency, ICE officials and hate groups increased this terror. With panic like this, we have no hope of making progress as immigrants and as a country. As a solution to the problem of the fear of deportation, must know our rights in this country. Many people do not know that it is legal to enter the U.S. if you can prove you're seeking asylum. Immigrants have the same rights of the legal process the U.S. citizens have. The musician Conor Oberst said, "I never understand how destroying families through deportation benefits our society. How we treat the undocumented says a great deal about us as people, and whether or not we'll continue to fulfill the fundamental American promise of equality and opportunity for all." Therefore, we can clearly see that fear of deportation is the biggest challenge for immigrants in the United States. Deportation affects a large number of immigrants in the country. Everybody is affected, including American-born citizens. Think about it. If all immigrants were deported tomorrow, the economy of U.S. would absolutely tank. Therefore, this is a problem that affects all people, immigrants or not. Remember, we are a nation of immigrants. No matter what color we are, no matter where we're from, we are all capable of dignity and respect. Let's start this today. Thank you.
Debater number 5 is Maria de Jesus.
The fear of deportation makes immigrants feel persecuted. We are under constant surveillance, worrying about if our Hispanic appearance. We cause us to attract from attention from authorities. Fear of deportation is the biggest challenge for immigrants in the United States. Deportation is still a big threat for many immigrant communities. According to ICE statistics, the agency's San Francisco office, which covers half of Northern California, as well as Hawaii, Guam, and Saipan, deported more than 6,000 people in 2017. We can clearly see that deportation affects a large number of immigrants in the country. In addition, ICE Acting Director Thomas Homan said, "The President made it clear in his security orders, there's no population of disabled. If you're in this country illegally, we're looking for you and we're going to apprehend you." There are more than 11 million immigrants with extreme fear of there being no tomorrow in this country. Since Donald Trump, his presidency, as officials and hate groups increase this terror. We feel like this. We have no hope of making progress as immigrants and as a country. According to article by the Atlantic Weekly, deportation doesn't give results. Instead, immigrants stay in the country and live in fear of being captured by ICE. Furthermore, deportation doesn't work as the tourists immigrated illegally to the United States. The objective of the Detention Alternative Program at ICE is to give priority in the detention center to undocumented immigrants who represent a risk for society and immigrants. However, according to a survey from Undocumented Division Channel from January 7, 2017, more than 10,000 people were deported, an increase from 2016. Clearly, the number of deportation is growing in the country. What are we going to do about it? Realistically, if we deport immigrants, the USA economy will suffer and therefore have a disastrous effect on society. Immigrants are so important to the United States. Immigrants are so important in the United States economy and culture. Why are people so eager to hand them away? The answer is clear. The biggest challenge for immigrants in the United States is the fear of deportation. Thank you.
Debater number 6 is Leslie Castilleja.
I believe the biggest challenge for immigrants in the U.S. is being undocumented. Listen to the story of Cindy Flores, an immigrant interviewed by the New York Times. Ms. Flores' husband took the daughter of 2 years to safety escaping severe gang violence in the city of Tegucigalpa. When the husband was detained at the border, officials took the child away from her father and deported him back to Honduras, leaving a little 2-year-old child to be alone for months. This is very scary and shows the terrible fear that many undocumented immigrants deal with. To start, we must first begin with the reason why we have such a large number of undocumented immigrants in the U.S. The most violent cities in the world are in Latin America. The largest cities in El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras are all high on the list, as are several major cities in Mexico. There were 12 million immigrants living in the country illegally as of January 2015, according to the most recent estimate from the Department of Homeland Security. The majority of them little to no option to improve their situation. In addition, in the same year, the numbers of immigrants living in the country in the U.S. has risen, Hispanic immigrants as the largest group. Clearly, there is a growing problem in the country. These many people are unable to obtain legal jobs, buy houses or cars, and travel. A solution could be to demonstrate to U.S. citizens the problems being undocumented immigrants. We should share our stories with others so that people who are citizens can understand the challenge and the struggle we face. This is we should take our assets to the country, not determine. Many people do know how hard it is to live surrounded by poverty everywhere you see. If they could just imagine having the same disadvantages, they would give us more opportunities. This, unfortunately, don't want to realize the risk we are facing in our country. But I believe we can show the spectrum. In order to solve this challenge, we obviously must of the root of the issue. A majority of immigrants have suffered from extreme poverty in their countries of origin. They come to the U.S. looking for opportunities of getting a better future for their families. Furthermore, just for the simple fact of being undocumented makes getting a job harder to be attractive. Insecurity in our home country is one of the biggest reasons why people decide to cross that border looking for a better future, even when they are risking their life. The documented need to respect the undocumented, period.
Debater number 7 is Carolina Piedra.
According to 2017 FBI hate crimes report, more than 60% of hate crime victims were targeted for race, ethnicity, or ancestry. This showed immigrants alarming of amounted for violence and hate in this country. Many of these crimes were committed by members of hate groups like the KKK. That is why I believe the biggest challenge for immigrants in the United States is hate groups. I learned about the KKK in my independent English class when I studied the civil rights movement. But I was shocked to discover that today not only is the KKK still active, but that there are now more groups with this hateful attitude, like the Pro-Boys, the Alliance Defending Freedom, and the American Freedom Party. The new groups have nice sounding names, but they're actually very dangerous. The best way to combat the hate groups of membership in the hate groups is to make people aware that hate groups are often race or homophobic people disguised as groups who promote freedom. I think the few solution to the problem of hate groups will be join forces, support the victim, educate yourself, and teach acceptance. 1. Joining forces. What we mean by is gathering people from different cultures, different beliefs, different social statuses. There is power in numbers. Allies can help educate others in different populations. 2. Support the victim. Let the victim know they are not alone. Find people or organizations that are willing to help the victim. 3. Educating yourself. We will understand why those people decide to take certain action and be doing so. We are able to see the other side of the story. We will be standing in their shoes. 4. Teach acceptance. One place we can teach acceptance is in schools, creating groups of students with different backgrounds, allowing them to interact. This still hopefully allows to the student to be more understanding. We must spread the word about tolerance and acceptance. Do not let the hate groups influence your opinion of immigrants. Do not give them a voice because they're not deserving. Silence people who agree with hate groups. Protest hate, protest discrimination, protest racism and treatment of immigrants. Immigrants already experience so many challenges and problems in the United States. We are survivors and we can overcome this challenge. Thank you.
Debater number 8 is Ilia Rodriguez.
Imagine living your life looking over your shoulder, constantly fearing that someone will send you to a place far away from your family, a land full of violence and poverty. This is why I believe that the biggest challenge for immigrants in the U.S. is fear of deportation. Immigrants are defenseless in a society that treats them with contempt and disdain and takes advantage of them. A new study by California Healthline says that undocumented parents of U.S.-born children often fear deportation and therefore take their children out of health programs. These facts clearly demonstrate just one example of how immigrants are affected by fear of deportation and the thought of leaving their children. One example is my own uncle. When he found out Donald Trump won the presidency, saying he was going to deport immigrants, my uncle felt so sick. He had to go to the hospital.
This example showed the extremity of the fear and stress that affect those who are afraid of being deported. Deportation is still a big threat for many immigrant communities. According to ICE statistics, the agency's San Francisco office deported more than 6,000 people in 2017. We can clearly see that deportation affects a large number of immigrants in our country. In addition, ICE acting director Thomas Hellman said, "The president made it clear in his executive orders, there's no population off the table. If you are in this country illegally, we are looking for you and we are going to apprehend you." What are some solutions to this serious issue? Many people don't know there are local activities to help migrants face anxiety and fear of the threat of deportation. For example, Voto Latino, La Familia Vota, and Yo Are All Latino, and immigrant rights groups that we should know about and utilize more often. There are more than 11 million immigrants with the extreme fear of there being no tomorrow in this country. ICE officials and hate groups have only increased this terror. With fear like this, we have no hope of making progress as immigrants and as a country. Thank you.
Debater number 9 is Luisa Florentino.
On the podcast, The Daily Show, Brian brought up a member of the Proud Boy, an alt-right group that was recently formed in the US, said, "Hitler was right, God's the Jews." That is a shocking statement, and why I believe the biggest challenge for immigrants in the United States is hate groups. Hate groups are a gigantic problem in immigrants' lives because it goes against the idea in the US Declaration of Independence, which states that all citizens are equal. Frequently, hate groups point a minority group when a specific person does something bad. They will say that a person represents the attitudes of that minority. For example, if an immigrant commits a homicide, hate groups will blame immigration, even though a study published by the Texas Department of Public Safety shows that immigrants commit crime at a far lower than native-born citizens. The Southern Poverty Law Center reports that hate and domestic terrorism are rising in the U.S. They found a 30% increase in U.S. hate groups over the past 4 years and a 7% increase in hate groups in 2018 alone. The center designated more than 1,000 organizations as hate group in 2018, a high of the least 20 years. These numbers should be very disturbing to people. How can we fight hate groups? First, we need to make people aware of them. We can do this by spreading the word on social media, in schools, and churches. Furthermore, we should expose hate crimes as what they are, crimes targeted at people because of their race, nationality, or identity. In my independent English class, we learned how Martin Luther King fought discrimination by protesting peacefully, writing letters, and demanding that government do something about the hate that infects our country. We should follow his example by continuing to unite people in the fight against hate. In summary, hate groups discriminate and intimidate people just for their nationality and immigration status, sometimes even committing acts of violence in the name of hatred, racism, and prejudice. They wrongly assume that immigrants are, as our own president described recently, animals, and that presidential support the hate groups is only fueling that sentiment. This often transforms into killing and violence. This must stop now. Speak up, speak out, and end hate groups forever. Thank you.
Debater number 10 is Daniel Munoz Valerio.
If you don't speak English in the United States, you cannot find decent jobs, do well in school, communicate effectively, or even just go shopping at the supermarket. For these reasons, the biggest challenge for immigrants in the United States is learning English. Many other challenges for immigrants like the fear of deportation, racism, lack of opportunity, and discrimination are involved with how the outside community perceives immigrants. Learning English is a challenge for immigrants, both inside and outside of the immigrant community. Therefore, it is the biggest challenge. According to an NCES report, the percentage of public school students in the United States who were English language learners in 2015 was 9.5%, or 4.8 million students. This data shows that there is a growing number of English learners in the United States. In addition, according to the book Classroom Instruction That Works by Jenny Hill and Cynthia L. Bjork, it can take 5 to 7 years to acquire a new language. Thus, learning English becomes a very difficult problem to solve in school, especially if you come as a high school student. How are we supposed to successfully pass classes, state tests, and graduate when so many of us only have 4, 3, or even 2 years to acquire English? In any country you visit, you need to speak and understand the language. And more so, if you are going to live in that country, in order to solve this issue, we must do better to encourage English learners to stay in school. According to my ESL teachers, English learners have a drastically lower rate of graduating and going to college. Furthermore, my ESL teacher, Ms. Hubman, says that if we forgot about immigrants who come as a teenagers and didn't have the time to acquire a new language, acquire English before taking state tests, or even just trying to pass their classes, we will create high school dropouts. To help learners, we need to make people aware of the many programs that are free in libraries or churches. Additionally, workplaces should also offer English improvement courses for employees. If we need English for survival, we will learn it better. English is the language of commerce and business in most parts of the world. When you live in a country where the first language is English, it is much harder to get a job, communicate effectively, or even just go shopping. If we don't help immigrants learn English, they will fail in this world because they will settle for whatever word they offered. And this will lead to them not following their dreams. Thank you.
Debater number 11 is Fernando Navarro.
According to immigrants and organizations to help immigrants, these are the top 5 challenges for immigrants living in the U.S. Language, employment, housing, transportation, and access to services. How can we summarize these issues into one single challenge? It's simple. The biggest challenge for immigrants in the U.S. is the lack of opportunity. Immigrants do not have the same rights as native-born citizens. Many of my friends are undocumented, and they don't have the same rights that we have as residents and citizens of the United States. Few chances to advance in the jobs or education. Furthermore, being an immigrant affects our opportunities as students, getting scholarships, financial aid, or even just applying to college. I just feel the ways access to unequal education is more a challenge for immigrants. Some people even receive financial help for food, for healthcare from government programs. Those who are undocumented are afraid of the government. Even immigrants with residency will feel interaction with the government agencies, as they are accustomed to government corruption in their own countries. Therefore, they are not aware of the opportunities that neighbor-born people enjoy. The challenge of lack of opportunity affects many more people than more specific challenge, like racism, deportation, and family separation. It has aspects of all the other major challenges for immigrants. Of course, life is much easier for those who are here legally. But even immigrants who have documents will suffer from racism, xenophobia, and bullying, thus causing them to lack opportunities as well. A vast majority of the 44.5 million immigrants in this country do not have access to the same advantages as those who were born here. It is more difficult to get a fair and equal education. Immigrants did not have the same education as people who have lived here since childhood. For example, we come here not even knowing who the first president was. something U.S. children learn before kindergarten. Furthermore, poverty severely affects many immigrants. If you have money, you will have a better education. If you have the opportunity to receive an excellent education, you will have more opportunities. This is just common sense. As for undocumented immigrants, sure, they can go to college, but after that, what will they do then? Even if they can go to college, they still need to work 10 times as hard to get to college or get scholarships. How is this fair when they are also struggling with learning English and adapting to the culture? It's not. However, I will also say to immigrants who come to the US just to work, what is in the future for you, your kids? What kind of education can you give them? We cannot let our migrant status affect us. We can do anything if we work at it. I'm not saying we want a handout or something for free. We just need the opportunity to prove ourselves and achieve equality. Thank you.
Listen to this poem by Joshua Reyes. I love us because every day we wake up to a country that hates us. We wake up, give thanks to God, and go to work. Watch the news, hear how our own TV is built by us. We change the channels and pray that tomorrow will be a better day for us. I believe the biggest challenge for immigrants in the US is being undocumented. Many US citizens don't seem to understand how important are in the framework of the US society. An article from InfoBay stated that without immigrants, the US workforce would lose 80 million of workers by 2035. This demonstrates just how critical immigrants are to the success of the US economy. Undocumented immigrants don't have the privilege to live without the fear of being deported or discriminated against. Therefore, I believe we should advance to the fair action for childhood arrivals promised to Congress. We can do this by writing to our elected officials and asking them to support DACA and other programs that will help undocumented people to gain a path to citizenship. Another solution to the problem of being undocumented is to create programs that enable people to travel or gain temporary or permanent residency in the United States. In addition, we need to come together as a country to support and help those who are undocumented. I want you to remember this. Being undocumented means dealing every day with isolation from peers, the struggle to pursue an education, and fears of detention and deportation. Not only this, but also with the trauma of getting separated from family and loved ones. These stressful experiences can lead to a number of negative emotional and behavioral outcomes, including anxiety, fear, depression, anger, social isolation, and lack of sense of belonging. Immigrants, including undocumented ones, are absolutely vital to the economy, culture, and well-being of the United States. People who were lucky to be born on the US side of the border should remember this and learn more about what we face in our countries of origin. Violence, corruption, poverty, fear. Wouldn't you break a law to escape from that? To get your children away from that? As is often said, no human being is illegal. Thank you.
She knows what to do right now. Come down here. When we're done, we're just gonna get announce her names and make sure that all last will come up and get it from
Somebody wants to say something too. Fernando.
I'm gonna show it here.
That means.
No, get up there and speak.
Oh, no.
You're a debater.
You can zoom in a little.
We are so, ¿cómo se dice? Agradecidos. Grateful. Thank you. Grateful with you for everything and your hard work with us. Thank you.
So now I. Yeah, they're doing this to me to make me cry, so I can't speak. Thank you. I'll look at it later. I'm sure it's lovely. Okay, we're going to present all of you with a certificate and also give you one last chance to get a round of applause for all of you. I just want to say that this is an enormously difficult thing to do. When you have not been learning your second language for more than a year, Maria has only been here, 2 months, and got up here in front of a group of people and gave a speech in a language that is not their first language, and that just shows a lot of determination and courage, and that alone is incredible to me. So I want to give you all this. Okay, so when I say your name, come up here to Mr. Nickerson. He's going to give you your certificate. Ms. Dodds, are you going to help him? Okay, the first student, Maximiliano Zavala. No. Okay. You want to do that? Want to do that real quick? You get extra. Carla Guerrero. Linda Montemayor. Diego Fuentes Villatoro. María de Jesús. Leslie Castilleja. Ilia Rodriguez. Luisa Florentino. Daniel Muñoz Valerio. Fernando Navarro. Carolina, that was a mistake. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Carolina Piedra. And Travis Hernandez.
One more time, give our contestants a round of applause. Also, if we can give a round of applause for our teachers who have coordinated this today. For my participants, I know that a lot of work went involved into preparing y'all's speeches. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. Just knowing the fact that some of you have not been here for the whole year and then coming up and speaking in front of your peers, I know that it's kind of daunting and a little bit surprising to have to come up here and give a speech, but I wanted to let each one of you all know that the articulation that y'all had in y'all speeches was spot on. Y'all did a phenomenal job, and the clarity and the passion that y'all spoke in, it was just amazing, and I'm just so proud of each one of you, and I just wanted to say great job. I know whoever is going to get selected to represent Nimitz High School in the debate against MacArthur and Urban High School, y'all are going to do a phenomenal job. And I just want you to know that if you are not selected, don't take that as a defeat. Just keep working hard. Each one of you all brought something just a little bit different, but y'all all brought something that really just stood out. And so with that being said, in no particular order, these are the individuals who will represent Nimitz at the debate. First will be Ela Rodriguez. Come over this way. Next, Daniel Munoz Valero. In no particular order, Linda Montemayor. Fernando Navarro. Diego Fuentes. And in the event that one of these five are not able to participate in the event, our two alternates will be Maximiliano Zavala. And Luisa Florentino. If you would, give everyone a big round of applause, please.
Okay, if you are, it's emotional, isn't it? I know. That is so, just real quick, just because that reminded me of something. One of the reasons that I think that Nimitz has been so completely successful at this for so long is because of all of the support of their classmates, all of the support of the other teachers. Everybody makes it work. And that is something that's pretty rare to see. I don't know what goes on at other campuses exactly, but the way that people support each other is really amazing. So thank you very much for that. And we're not done yet, so you still have to help us. If you're in my classes still, you've got to help us get ready for that final. So if you are not in Ms. Huffman's class this year, you are dismissed and may go.